All right, folks, second quarterfinal. And in the blue over here, we've got the player that everyone seems to think is going to win this tournament. Wondering if he can access that shorefish. I'm sure he's fine. I'm probably just making something out of nothing. We've got a nomad start, but on this map, players always seem to bring their villagers to the middle from that transport. So it's ring nomads. While it is nomad, it's different in that it's not a surprise where the opponent goes. And I think that's a very important distinction. Because just because you have to build the TC at the start doesn't mean that there's actually a massive tweak in terms of gameplay compared to starting like a normal game where the TCs always have certain things nearby. There is a little bit of adaptation, of course, but yeah, that's my take. We've got Hera as the Koreans. I've seen this Civ dominate on this map. Can be good on water, can be good on land. So lots of fire galleys and archers could be the plan for Hera. His stone and gold is here, pretty close by. Then, of course, deer, boars, berries, all that's very good for him. Vinchester, pretty much the same. And the water is connected, so they're able to sail over to the opponent's water region if they wish to. It's kind of interesting to see Vinchester moving around with the villager right now, maybe just bringing in some early sheep. But he does have the boar, and he does have the fish. Now, I don't hate Dravidians in the matchup. I think Dravidian economically is maybe even better than the Koreans, right? You get the population space from the houses. The fishing ships have solid carry capacity. You get additional wood when you make it to feudal. And it does feel like a matchup where both civs excel at the same thing. Both civs go for infantry, and both civs are going to go for siege. I did want to see how easy it is for Hera to find all his boars. He found one nearby and still saving this one. And then Vinchester found one. And Vinchester's other one he hasn't yet found. And that is kind of unfortunate if he doesn't find that. There's been a couple games I've seen on this map where one player gets super easy access to 3 boars. And then the other only stuck on 1 or 2. But I think Vinchester just found that in time. Let me add the flags here, and we'll dive in. But thanks again, everyone, for watching, and we'll see how things go here. I said Hera 4-1. I'm not going to lean too heavily towards Hera in any tournament unless maybe he's up against Leary these days. Potentially Viper, depending on what Viper looks like. If Viper's showing some great level in his quarterfinals, makes it through that against Yo. Shows a crazy level in the semifinal because I think he's on the other side of the bracket. But Hera, I think the best player to take him down is the player that's been closest many times. That would be Leary, but usually feels like Hera always one game better than him. So Lumber Camp on the way from Hera. Again, remind yourself, yes, there's Nomad in the title, but you can get a super streamlined build. You're going to get the same thing every time, and you know where the opponent is. It is not the Nomad that someone like Yo would love. So the reason I restate that, the task is there. The same build can work every single time. If that's the case, Hera's going to be feeling very comfortable here, and Hera's on the way up. And pretty smooth build. Really nice to have the berries and the deer nearby the TC, and you don't actually need the boar at this point. I mean, unless you're going to change strategy, but I think it's just going to be a second dock. And Vinchester might do the same. Vinchester up to feudal age a little later than Hera here. Did pull the villager away, but still could add a second dock. And if it's not going to be a second dock, it'll probably be a barracks here for Vinchester. Now, Koreans can't make demos, so if you go fires into the choke point, that could be a problem. But I almost feel like Hera's going to go galleys here. Also, villager just passing there from Vinchester. Hera's Korean, so his villager has a lot of vision and will be able to see that. So Hera should know that this is a sneak dock. If Hera was going to go galleys before, he might second-guess himself now. But even still, he'll have fire ships so fast, he could probably just disrupt this dock. And then this dock is kind of... It can't meet up with the original dock. And this is the type of thing that I was talking about. Now, Vinchester does like to be sneaky in general. But he's going to feel like he can't play anything close to whatever that meta may be. Try and shake things up, you know? Villager's going to be off in the distance. Hera didn't have Loom, is getting that now. He will not want this villager to sneak around more. Vinchester will know he's spotted. Vinch will also know it's 2 docks. And Vinch went for a barracks and a range and is still able to go for double fire ship. That's actually crazy. And that's only Dravidians. Maybe Malians could do that because of all their wood savings. But the fact that he's able, he gets that extra 200 wood, plus the extra pop space from the docks allows him to cut these corners. Hera hoping to bring in this boar. A transport ship for Vinchester gets sniped. That's really unimportant now, of course. So that's not that big a deal. But Hera will have a lot of his focus on this dock right now. And now there's another dock from Vinchester. If this dock completes, I mean, Hera's going to have to mass a lot of ships. And now Hera's coming over with the galleys. But Vinchester sees the galleys are leaving, and he just deletes the dock. And now he'll build a blacksmith here instead. Hera does not have any vision. He hasn't built an outpost. He doesn't have any awareness of the situation there. And Vinchester knows that Hera has his golds here. He doesn't know about the wall off from Hera. But if Hera's committing to galleys, that usually means you're not able to do anything else. Because you commit a lot more to galleys than you would a couple fires. So this should be Vinchester's opportunity to be moving forward, in my opinion. And again, is the confidence there for Vinchester? Because it's all about timings. Right now, fletching, timing on the archers. This should be it. Villager's still over there. Hera adds some fires to take down the docks. That's perfect. Having a meat shield for the galleys is still also very helpful. And here are the archers now for Vinchester. Hera didn't see this ahead of time. He has a lot of vision, though, with the Koreans. And he sees it. And Vinchester can now keep Hera off of gold. Honestly, I think this is a perfect example of where you should not leave. You just sit there. You don't do anything else. You just sit there. No reason to do anything else. If Hera has an opportunity to come back to this gold and tower this now, it would be pretty crazy. Vinchester pulls back. The ships eject for Vinch. He lands a really nice demo, but I don't think he has enough on water, guys. Hera is going to win water. Hera will probably kill the fishing ships from Vinch. And Hera now going for a counter tower against that one villager tower from Vinch, and Vinch deletes. Vinch needs 2 more stone to be able to build another tower now. But Hera, while he's 1 water, he can't take gold easily. And these archers could potentially loop around, get somewhere else. But I don't know. You're pretty restricted, it feels like, if you're Vinch. You can't move this way. Hera can just take this gold. Hera's galley's kind of protected there. Seems like there's enough stone here as well for Hera to be able to take that. But I like this. I think Vinch just sits this gold, camp that gold, and then you use the other archers to look around, see what Hera's doing. And if you bring 2 archers here right now to this gold, like, this is super greedy from Hera. There's timing it's possible to punish this greed. But is he going to hit the timing perfectly here? Hera still has to click up to the next stage. Hasn't done so yet. Hera needs a couple skirms. He's adding them now. And I think Vinch now at this point doesn't care if Hera comes back here because he knows Hera's already over here. And Vinch is going to send his archers into that tower there just to shoot Hera's tower down, which is kind of crazy. All the fish for Vinchester will go down soon because his fires are out of position. And Hera's galley's kind of late to the party here. I thought they'd be there. Maybe some of the fishing ships will survive. And maybe Vinchester can actually come back on water. Villager's still there, by the way. Hera's tower is going to be shot down. There's not much he can really do about that. But he does have skirms enough to protect his gold, and he's on his way to Castle Age. Yeah, maybe Vinchester wanted to surround the galleys, but I don't really love that approach because the galleys will kill this every time, regardless. But I like how he's still trying to hang around on water a little bit. That will matter more in Castle Age. And I love the sneak dock with that in mind because you can go in and kill the fish. Hera's not going to be anywhere else with the fish. And Vinch also got some decent value from his other fishing ships. Also shooting Hera's tower down. Now, Hera will maybe need to build some more towers here being Koreans, or maybe he'll save up stone to go for war wagons. But if anything, it just kind of feels like Hera's going to boom a little bit here. It doesn't feel like he's going to have a whole lot of offensive potential. But I think he's changing his mind. I think he's going heavy. No, he's headed this way to drop TCs. I thought he was actually headed to take the stone. Vinchester's played very smooth, guys. I feel like Hera's been really uncertain on how to handle... Like, he's been reacting each and every time, right? But the thing is, I've seen that countless times before. And as long as you don't break Hera, he's going to be in a really good position later on. He knows his opponent has archers. So his plan is to go for skirmishers. He doesn't know about this, though, right? Has he scouted this? He has not. Hasn't scouted this villager, by the way. I don't think the vill will do too much, but still. Ooh, Vinch is going War Galley in this dock. Really needs that upgrade to complete. I think it will complete, but it'll be very close. And now Siege Workshop for Vinch. Now, here's what's annoying. You can't actually push Koreans with Siege comfortably when they're already on stone, because you can just drop a tower at any time. But you still kind of got to move out with the Siege. Hera also sees these archers from a mile away. So he's just waiting at home, playing defensive. War Galley upgrade completes, and now Hera's probably like, wait a second. I thought I had one water. I have to micro here, but he's not able to notice this yet. Fishing ships are kind of hidden away, though. Vinchester sees the skirms. He's leaving. But this is the position that Vinchester really needs to get his units over to. Has been very, 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 very boom heavy, relax, react to the opponent from Hera, but this is what he likes. He likes his defensive style. Not all the time, but especially game one, you see that a lot. I don't think that's ever really changed with Hera. There was a time where he wasn't winning as much, and he was always more defensive in the first game, but I think he just got better at it. And so it's not like, I remember some instances where he'd lose the first game and then he would win the next 4 or something, right? I think he still has that tendency. You see Vinchester's like, he's going to have something, right? Like, he's surely going to have something here, but he didn't go back. Now we've got a pause. Fire galleys could still go in here and kill the fish. Looks like they did. Fire galley killed 4 fish, and Vinchester's on 2 TCs. Hera coming back over with those skirms now. I mean, these archers weren't going to get value in any other way. So, losing archers is never really a comfortable feeling. But at least he did something to harass Hera and slow him down. And most of the archers get away for Vinchester. Hera's skirmishers get flattened by the mangonels. Oh my goodness. And I'm just still sitting here thinking, like, where's the offense? Where's the control? Vinchester's been coming out here with a game plan. Forward docks, lots of siege. And I'm just looking at Hera, and it's just TCs, TCs, TCs. Again, until Hera gets broken, there's going to be this feeling he's going to win every set he goes into. But Vinchester, when he's in shape, is able to bring an amazing level, and I really love how he's continued to pressure here. Hera's starting TC will go down, which is crazy. You very rarely see TCs for Koreans get pushed because of access to guard tower. And this water control adds some value, I suppose, but not really when you don't have fish. And Vinchester could just continue to push here, right through the houses, right into the ranges. This is where I think, like, Vinch wins against every other player. Because he has confidence in himself to break him. But now he's like, well, kind of like we are. You can push right through this wall. Push the ranges down. Like, Hera's so late with Siege Workshop. Hera just commands so much respect, right? Like, now, I love how Hera has eco down here. considering he's getting pushed up here. I think that this area is an area he could expand in, and Vinch might never notice it. So I think that's a really good call from him. But Blacksmith's going to go down, and Vinchester pretty close to building a castle here. Vinchester doesn't know... Oh, sorry, he does know there's rocket carts coming. So, yeah, you don't want to castle there, but you could shift your pressure. You could just castle here. Or you could castle there. I mean, that's like a middle castle that protects your eco lead if you feel you have it, which you could argue he does. And it's unlikely Hera can ever push this TC then. And Hera loses his mangonel. Guys, Villager died on the back there for Vinchester, but Hera has not been able to keep up with Vinchester so far. Can he turn it around here? I think the best version of Hera's is when he's a little bit more aggressive. And he takes control in one area, and then he adapts, and then he booms. But here, I think his plan was galleys against 2 docks from home, and it really disrupted his thinking on how to manage it. So even though he ended up, quote-unquote, winning water, he ran into some massive problems. And guys, he's housed. Really frustrating feeling. He's losing his houses on the front. Obviously, he's going to build more, but every single TC should be idle now. I guess he had them in production already. Vinchester just booming away. Booming away. Now, guys, which civ do you think is better in Imp? Any preferences here? I think they're both good at the same thing. I mean, skirms and more skirms, and maybe you mix in some skirms with those skirms, and then bombard cannons, right? And if that's the case, Korean skirms are cheaper, Dravidian skirms fire faster, Dravidian siege is cheaper. I mean, I think Korean towers might make me prefer the Koreans. I think it's pretty close. I think this position's actually what decides the game. If Hera loses this position, he loses this hill, it's over. He won't have any of that stone. His TC's down here. I'd love to see Hera consider a weird side tower rush play or something to try and focus on these areas and take Vinchester out of this position. Res collect, it's basically even. In such a boomy game. And Hera, he gets some nice damage there with his rocket card, and he trades 1 for 1. If the skirms are cheaper, Hera will just have the eco and spam that unit. Yeah, but the eco's similar. Nice job from Hera with the split. This is why this castle was important, by the way, because you're going to take engagements that don't go so well from time to time, but now you have the castle to protect the area. And you don't have to panic to immediately produce another unit because you have the castle protecting you. Interesting. So Hera will go for the castle there. Well, I don't hate it. It shoots the tower down. It protects the gold, which is still important. I think stone access is still the biggest thing for me, for Hera. I'm looking around. There is stone here. And there would be more stones around if he looks. Sorry, I looked away and a rocket cart went down. But the rocket cart did enough damage to that mangonel where Vinchester won't move in. Vinchester will be in the Imperial Age faster. He's building another castle, which will then give him access to more stone. And he can just make trebs from both of these castles. I think Hera's in a horrible spot. Hera needs to be on stone right now. He's just now shifted to stone. He is going to produce a crap ton of skirms. So I hope you guys like skirms. 5 more ranges for Hera going up. And Vinch doesn't really have many skirms right now. But I think if Vinch could just get this castle down, that'll be a very good start. You take the castle down and then you have access to conscription from your own castle. And you can recover with the numbers. Vinch also dropping some ranges. No wheelbarrow for Vinchester kind of hurts. The Vills are super slow right now. But never mind. He clicks that upgrade. And I'd like to see outposting from both. See how paranoid Hera is because of that outpost from earlier? He killed the Vil, but still. Hera Stone income could be disrupted here. This is not an easy position for him to defend if he loses his rocket carts, but he's not going to. The rocket carts shred the mangonels. Easy clear up there for Hera. Nice patience. And now it's the Trebs. I wonder what Hera does here. I think there's actually an argument to go conscription, and then you don't make Trebs, and you just rely on bomber cannons to save you. Because at least from Caster's perspective, this castle is not being saved, but he's going to make a Treb. I guess if you get to one Treb, that's still better than no Trebs, right? But you need the castle for the tower range tech to hold against bombard cannons with towers. You need the castle for a lot here. Vinch 15 skirms. They fire faster than the Korean skirms, though they're not cheaper. And Hera 21 skirms, but they're cheaper, right? Vinchester needs to continue to make Trebs here. That's his advantage. The two castles should be making Trebs at all times. Maybe he's lacking the wood, or maybe he's waiting a couple seconds for the bombard cannons. Hera will make a Treb to attack this Treb. And Ballistics is not in for Hera yet. But the rocket carts can take the Treb. Hera, if you give him a chance to hold, he's going to take it. He's going to run with it. Kind of hard to out-micro the Dravidian skirms, though. That was super weird from Vinchester, how he focused on the Siege Workshop. But I guess his mind's on bombard cannons. Vinch repairing this castle. Bombard cannons on the way from both Siege Workshops for him. And it's skirm v skirm. I prefer Vinch's skirms. And it's not like Hera has the better eco, right? Like, Hera's eco is worse than Vinchester's. And Hera has to spend more resources on bombard cannons than the Dravidians. I think this should be Vinchester's game if this continues. Hera's only repairing here. I guess he took down a bombard cannon somehow. He's now repairing the Siege Workshop just so he can get that next bombard cannon. The extra armor that the Koreans get on their units is really nice. And Vinchester loses some Vils, but saves the Treb for now. Vinch has to be careful. Like, Hera's so tough to break. Really, though, in this time, I think that Hera needs to get Yipseong. He needs to be building some towers here. The keep upgrade being free is not something you see him take advantage of that much, but that's the way to play the Koreans in the late game, in my opinion. You should not... Bombard cannons from the enemy should never be a threat if you could place the proper towers. But easier said than done when they're focusing on all the skirms. There's so many skirms for Hera. Hera's 4 Trebs here, but his castle's being attacked again. Over here, we've got Vinchester on gold. Hera's going to go over there, too. So, wow, lots of stone as well for Vinch. Also, a couple Yurumis are slicing and dicing Vils. Oh, my God, dude! Hera, you've got Yurumis in Yurumi, bro! This is horrible. 15 villagers lost and counting, by the way. He doesn't have any clue that's happening. Skirmishers get flattened. Trebs will make a play for the castle. Hera might end up taking this castle, but again, there's bombard cannons in here. Finally, Hera reacts, but those Yurumis were sick from Vinch. Crazy what a couple units can do. Still, this could snowball on Vinchester pretty heavily. The bombard cannons have moved out against a lot of skirms. He needs to snipe a Treb. He needs to keep his cannons alive. He needs his skirms to be somewhere close to this. Good micro from Hera. He loses a bombard cannon, though. He takes the castle, and now no protection for the bombard cannons. Over here, Hera lost all the Vils. They were building a tower, so 35 villager losses for Hera. But he still could maybe push? I don't know. He didn't take the bombard cannons. They will be repaired. He just lost one of his own bombard cannons. Hera's crumbling right now. Vinch just needs skirm numbers. Needs more skirms to counter the skirms, and then after that, more skirms. It's like both civs are arguably in the bottom 5 in Cav. Actually, I don't even think that's an argument. They're definitely in the bottom 5 when it comes to Cav production and Cav options. So That's never really something you fear here. Hera still has the army. And if he has the army and he has the TCs, he can easily stabilize here. That's been Vinch's issue, is just the production. And I think a lot of that is the strength of Hera. Like, Hera always has production on point. But also, Korean discount has got to be helping here. Vinch's micro is insane there, though. Holy, snipes the Treb. But he needs Siege Workshop in the north, which he has not had. The Siege Workshop here is the one producing cannons. Villagers diving in to take out the bombard cannons. That probably won't work. Ooh, champion techs for Vinch. I mean, if he can get to fully upgraded champion, that's amazing against skirms. But if Hera has golds and he already has archer ranges, the second he senses that, he just adds gunpowder. So the champion switch is a really interesting move. A lot of people won't do it. I don't think Hera would do it in the same position. Hera would go for like 80 skirms first. But man, did Hera lose a lot of cannons there. 2 more cannons down. He does still have 3 here, though. Again, Vinch needs another siege workshop. It's just this one siege workshop now, and it's not in the position he needs. He needs it behind his castle, but he doesn't really have the wood right now. He's trying to delay as much as possible, but when there's a Treb here as well, this is putting Vinch under some real pressure. And I think Hera might know that champion could come in because he's already adding in some gunpowder. He also completes this tower, so he could disrupt the gold mining there. And yeah, Hera's still more than fine here. I think completely stopping skirm production is never gonna work here, Vinchester. Hera will have the skirms on the front line, and then he makes 10 hand cannons, and the champion switch is completely killed off. Hera just more skirms, more cannons, more skirms, more cannons. That cannon almost goes a little bit too far. Here, Hera's skirms went a little bit too far. Vinch is still trying to produce both. And the champion tech's going to complete. And bombard cannons wanted the Treb. Bombard cannons pay a heavy, heavy price. And there's the champion. Okay, so Hera will know now. But does Hera know in time? Vinch's castle's going to stay up. The Yurumis and the champions will take out 3 bombard cannons. The skirms will still come from Vinchester. There's a castle down here from Vinchester. Hera's going to go for his own castle now. But, well, he has more vills. I don't know if he denies it. And the champion switch is going to rattle Hera. You see the hand cannons in queue, but his skirms are all gone. He'll lose his Treb. Vinchester, I take it back, has gone for the correct move with the champion switch. There's the castle. That's a 90%. Oh, God. 97. 98. 99. It's a 99%. No, Vinchester. But it's okay. You just need to send a couple vills. You could finish that anyways. And he's taking this hill. And Hera's ranges are surrounded by this castle. He's surrounded by the skirms. Vinchester will start to push back, and Hera's got very little space to work with. Yeah, Vinch is going to bring like 20 vills. This castle will complete, and then all of Hera's vills will get shot here, and Hera's in trouble. I was concerned for Vinch that he wasn't going to produce skirms with the champions, and he did. Really nice job. And it's just been an amazing game the whole way through. Oh, God, here comes Hera. He's dropping gates. Okay. But Vinch can hit the other side. Gates? He's attacking the gates? He's leaving. Nice job from Hera. That castle won't go up for the time being. And it's being trebbed down anyways, so it won't really stay up. I mean, but like Hera has very little control now over this game. He's got no space. He's got no access to gold except for this. This just seems so painful. And Vinchester's just going to shift his focus this way. I don't think Hera has enough to be able to bring this back, and he calls the GG. Vinchester takes the first game. And so if my prediction's correct, I said 4-1 for Hera here. Vinchester's like, what? I'm going to start off and get my win first. That was sick. Really well played from Vinch. And it was just such a nice mix-up. I think Hera thought he could open 2 dock galleys, he would just win water, and it'd be super easy. But he had to work for it. His towers got shot down. He was always reacting with the skirms. And even though it went to Imp, Vinchester had good control over the game. He had nice offensive pressure the whole time. And even though it got dicey and it got intense and it got awkward, he gets the job done. Any other Civ there probably can't justify that champion switch. It's cheaper with the Dravidians to research those technologies. I think without that discount, he might not have been able to get the numbers too. And then also, like we said, the faster firing skirms for the Dravidians helped because he didn't have the numbers Hera had. Just an interesting game, right? Like Hera made 150 skirms, 10 bombard cannons, 10 hand cannons. And I guess there was also some navy. And then for Vinch, he made 100 skirms, 25 champs, and 12 bombard cannons. It's just such a weird comp to see. Very awkward Civ matchup. So, Hera, the tournament favorite, loses the first game. We've got a series, guys. Sick to see that from Vinchester. Game number 2. Hera goes for the Mayans. So, the thing about the 9 villager starts, for the most part, there's not massive differences compared to the 3 villager starts. Now, I could go down the long list of things I think are actually different, like time to scout and meta changes, etc. But the big thing in relation to the Mayans is you don't get housed. You don't have to get loom right away. In a normal game, you start with 4 vills. You start with that eagle. You have to get loom. You have no choice. Well, you do have a choice to just not do it, but you will get loom. And that's because you have to build houses. 9 villagers start. You start with the houses. Hera will be permanently 1 villager ahead. He won't have to slow himself down by getting loom. So this makes the Mayans stronger in 9 villager start than they would be in standard. Because they have the extra eco. And then Vinchester, he should probably be aware of this and understand exactly what the meta tends to be. Which is eagles and then also archers. I think in a standard start, you tend to see a couple militia. Then you see mainly archers. But recently, there was a change that made eagles produce a little bit faster. I think that was because of all the infantry buffs. They wanted the eagles to still be solid. And that helps the build that Hera really likes, which is an early barracks and then an early archer range. But I will say this. What affects that build is the fact that there's chickens here. So we got Chicken Arabia. You can't push in the chickens. So Hera's going to mill the chickens instead. I actually do think in some ways this makes this a little bit more difficult for Hera. Vinchester also gets the chickens, so he's going to build the mill over here. He also knows exactly where Hera is because of the Vietnamese bonus. And Hera doesn't have loom. And, well, Hera, do you want that? You have no loom. You're going to lose the Vill now. And the scout might even be able to escape. Finch! Jeez, dude, I thought he was going to lose the, he wasn't going to kill the villager and he was going to lose the scout anyways. And Vinchester kills the villager there. I mean, I think Hera's going to be pretty happy with that trade. Vinch is going to be annoyed he couldn't escape there because sometimes you're able to just glide through enemy units and escape. But the Vill count will be even now. But then Hera still has his scout. And Hera might even be motivated because he can't really be trapped to go for the kill there. I think most players are going to say that losing the scout for 1 villager is not worth it there. But when you're up against Hera, when you're up against Mayans, you're under a bit of pressure to get some damage in. So it's not the worst thing ever for Vinchester. The other thing that's nice too is that you kind of know what Hera's probably gonna go for in some ways. So I don't think Hera's gonna go man-at-arms. I think he should. Like, that feels like the perfect adaptation for me. Your opponent can't scout it. Why not try and pressure with man-at-arms now? The answer is it's because it might not be worth the investment in his mind. And that wasn't the plan, but we'll see. T90 Dave is muted. Yeah, Dave is muted. I don't know. If Dave... I talked about potentially casting with Dave. I have not looked at Discord like the entire day, so I don't know. Maybe we'll just do that. There some of the other sets. Dave has been muted for the entire day, indeed. It should be able to tell by the score. What, the militia are coming? Nah, I don't agree with that. Because score could be scouting, score could be a lot of different things. if Hera just runs an extra circle out here, that influences the score more than if he's just scouting over here to see if you have a barracks. But yeah, I mean, technically they could look at the score and see. But with that argument, right, you can look at this right now and think he's going militia. Because he's got higher score, just because of scouting, so. Hera's going to do the exact same build he set out to do here. And I just think it's really, really strong. I think the best way to beat it is exactly what Hart did the other day, and you go double range archers. And there's the range there from Vinch. But that was Land Madness. This Arabia version's also kind of hilly, also kind of open. There was also chickens here. So, definitely some differences in what you can afford. Hera will see the range. And now Hera will see that his opponent isn't on gold. So he knows this has got to be skirms. But guys, that increase in production speed on the Eagles is noticeable. Hera already has the second Eagle forward. I think it was a 10-second increase in production speed. And I know that on paper you might think, stop making archers now. But, like, no. You've got double production. You have your barracks producing and an archer range producing versus just an archer range. The Eagles can protect your archers. This could be really difficult for Vinch. I think the reason this is so strong is because the eco's super smooth because of Nineville. And then you have 2 production buildings versus 1. Which is why I think the best build for Vinch could have maybe been Man-at-Arms, so at least he produces from that early. But you can't really go Man-at-Arms if you've got the chicken map. It really slows down those builds. Vinch needs to weather the storm. Now, you get to a certain amount of skirms here. That was a really good wall off here from Vinch. And the skirms start to threaten everything. Because even if you're doing 1 damage a hit, you get to 15 skirms. It's a couple volleys and the Eagles die. But in the back of your mind, Hera could be thinking about Castle Age, where the Eagles are much, much better than the skirms there. So, T90, hello. Lovely hello from rainy Germany. Rainy Germany. What's up? Don't know how many other Germans can confirm it's raining outside right now. So Hera being more active on the map than he was in the previous game. It's just a completely different map, right? Now walling the front, which is rather interesting. But Vinch just chilling on the hill. Apparently it's raining in all of Germany. Okay, good to know. Fletching's in for Hera. But Fletching is also in for Vinchester. It's so difficult for for Vinch rather, to kill these Eagles right now. But he's slowly weakening them. And he's hoping to kill the archers. And he ends up killing the archers here. He kills one of them. See what I mean? You get enough volleys in, you get to enough skirms, and suddenly Feudal Age Eagles don't actually feel that strong. Well played from Vinchester here, man. Hera's long-term thinking now should be wall up and just play Eagles and Castle Age, I think. He's got a really easy wall here. And Vinch will never want to move out too far with skirms because more Eagles could come. At least if he's not walled, he needs to be walled here. It's kind of funny. I think the way that Vinchester's playing right now on Arabia is what you sometimes see from Hera, where he's just going to full wall before anything else, play super safe, and be confident in the late game. And then Vinchester, unaware that Hera's basically fallen home. Okay, chat. How long have you been watching Age of Empires 2? That's the first question. I don't know if this is going to be a popular little Q&A with chat. Okay, how long have you been watching Age of Empires 2? Okay, 17 months, 6 years, 3 years, 5 years. Okay. How exciting do you find present-day Arabia meta? Healing units inside the TC... Both players patrolling skirms next to walls. Oh, back in my day, the games would be a lot more crazy. Maps were a lot worse, of course, which was a big part of it. Hills were a lot bigger. Resources weren't as standardized. But yeah, both players just playing super safe. Whoa, 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 whoa. I wasn't trying to get people to say Arabia's lame. Don't you say that about my Arabia. What are you trying to do? Arabia's great. But as someone who likes Arabia, I will also say that Arabia isn't always the most exciting compared to maybe a few other maps, okay? Hey, and all you Arabia, all you Arena players, Arena's in the draft, okay? So I'll have a follow-up question on Arena for you guys later on. Anyways, it makes sense. Like, Hera's not going to move out with his army because he could just lose units, and he's doesn't want to do that. And Vinchester the same. But I really still feel like this build poses the same problems to Vinchester. Like, Hera can have eagles on the front. It's even stronger now. Eagles on the front, plus crossbows. And it's still just one type of unit for Vinch. Now, Vinch could maybe try and mix in cav archers. So he could go cav archers behind skirmishers as the long term. But this is just a much bigger army for Hera. And so good from him to be advancing forward now. Kind of weird. You'd like to see a gate here and a full wall. I also see that delete there from Hera. That makes me think maybe he wants to bring a villager forward. But maybe he had an army that needed to run through. I'm not too sure. But Hera will be faster to Castle Age. And Hera's army is tough. Dude, even crossbow timing is tough for Vinchester. Because Elite Skirm takes longer to research and is pretty expensive. So Hera doesn't even need the eagles to kill units. He just needs the crossbows pretty soon. Vinchester stopped with 10 skirms. He's adding the third range. So yeah, he definitely wants to try cav archers. As I wasn't trying to bait people and get people to argue, by the way. I like to interact with chat. I didn't have a whole lot else to touch on. We kind of already broken down the intricacies of the matchup. This might force Vinchester into a tower, but you never want to do that because you know the Maya Nico is already better than you. And the second you tower, they go for the second TC. Hera still leaning into crossbows despite seeing the skirms. And he goes for the university at home for ballistics. But he has not been able to break Vinchester yet. He set out to do it. I think this build's one of the strongest for Arabia. But he hasn't been able to do it. And Vinchester gets Bodkin Arrow. Vinchester's micro has been really nice. He hasn't lost any units yet. And now he's got Elite Skirm. So it's the same cycle. It's Castle Age now. And he's just sticking with the skirms. This is where I think if Hera went forward siege, Vinchester would have massive problems. But Hera is staying at home right now. And, well, there's the siege workshop. Can you imagine if he advanced forward with that right away and the Mangonel was here right now? Instead, Vinchester gets a little bit more time. Gets ballistics. And with ballistics, he could do damage to all these units anytime Hera gets close. Is Vinchester dead? He's not dead, but he's not... The quality of life for Vinchester isn't great, you know? He needs to win a fight and then could maybe start to think about advancing out here. Hera's ballistics upgrade is later. And he'd probably be surprised to lose that eagle there. He's probably like, wait, what? He has ballistics already? Hera loses a crossbow. And Hera's siege workshop isn't up yet. Dude, Vinchester's played impressive. I'm sorry. Like, this is crazy. He just is swatting Hera away like a fly right now. So impressive. And if that siege workshop foundation gets found, if those cav archers were to go over here, which they won't because they have to be here, it could be some really big problems for Hera. But now he's got +2 on the eagles. And the skirmishers are so slow, and the skirmishers are getting surrounded, and no! You can only go skirms for so long. Eagles are so quick. Hera will need to out-micro with the crossbows behind. As long as he keeps some crossbows alive, he's got some firepower versus CA. And yeah, those are not acceptable losses for Vinchester. He was doing well, and he ventured out too far. You just can't move out if you're going only skirms. And now, the siege could come from Hera. Still 1 TC. But this army might... with Vinchester's micro, I think it might actually be enough to hold for a little while. Mangonels are on the way. Does Vinchester have any vision here? I see this villager's moving out. Like, this villager wants to build an outpost. Gets a couple kills there. He wants to siege push Hera, which is kind of crazy because there can be an eagle there. And Hera snipes his first villager of the game on the wood line, and now the siege is going to come in. This is going to be tough for Vinch. Hera just passing. This siege workshop. What did I do? What? And now Vinch is going to move it when it was at 40%. Second TC for Vinchester. Skirms and Cav Archers coming back. He knows about the siege. At least he's got his gold and his wood on the back. But his micro is going to have to be absolutely ridiculous here, and we've got to pause. I think someone in chat said that Mem had his stream drop. Mem's the host, so maybe we have to wait. Hopefully that's not a situation that lasts too long. That bird. Dude, that bird is flying over the fight as we're back into the game. That bird would be amazing to be. Look, he's even doubling back to get a peek. We're back in business. Can be kind of tough to get your rhythm, by the way. At least in my case, if the game pauses for that long, I kind of struggle to get back in the flow. So any mistakes could be explained by that. Again, like we said, those Eagles can't easily dive in with confidence because you could lose everything, but the siege is just key. That's how Hera's really going to be able to push this. Just more mangonels. He hasn't killed a lot yet, but he is dropping the second TC at home. And Hera will hope to just hold this position. And so the longer he holds this position, the better for him. The Eagles will dive, forcing some quick walls from Vinchester. Vinchester's micro is insane to have not lost a lot there. Like, I would have left this wood line. The fact that he's still on this wood line is unbelievable. In fact, maybe Hera needs to have a crossbow behind there or a mangonel behind there. Hera is attacking the farms because Vinchester keeps walking over them. And Vinchester's eco is really struggling right now. And so is my game, apparently. I think we should be smooth now. That hill is also critical for Hera. Such an important position. But there's a couple rules to mangonel pushing. Rule number 1 is always keep your villager forward because you need to repair. Hera's not doing that. Hera will dive with the Eagles. Big shots there from Vinchester. Very big shots. Hera might not have many Eagles after this, but it might be worth it because he's done so much damage otherwise. Hera is killing all the villagers over here on the wood line. Again, surprised that Vinchester left them there. And Hera's mangonel is back up to the hill, and he's still got more than enough army here to hold. The siege land, one shot, it could be over, and dude, Hera's just all over him right now. Perfect response from Hera. Like, it's not new that Hera plays a little bit defensive at times or can struggle to get into the series. Maybe that's what we saw in the first game, but this game, he's officially warmed up. Congratulations, Vinchester. You've woken him up. You've angered him. And it's only going to get tough from here. Vinchester's eco is just in ruins right now. Hera could be on 3 TCs pretty soon as well. And the villagers coming in to repair the mangonels too. So all these mangonels could be on the hill with full HP soon. That's one where I think if he had repaired that, he never loses that, right? Misses the shot there. That mangonel's on 1 HP. Hera will lose that one. He doesn't kill this one. Okay. That mangonel's fired from the side. It was looking the other way with a no-looker there. Vinchester's still maybe maintaining some possibilities of coming back now. He takes down the mangonels. And he lost his TC. That's still super good for Hera. But at least Vinchester kind of won the fight. But you win the fight, and then Hera's economy has been completely untouched. 90 seconds of TC idle time. Third TC's coming up. Every single building's producing all the time. Impressive from Vinchester, but I don't see how you ever can contend with this army. And, yikes! Certainly if you don't run into the army like that. I mean, he had to advance forward. He didn't know how much was going to be there. And Hera with some crazy gates to block him off as well. That was horrible for Vinchester. But he was desperate. And when you're desperate, you do crazy things, you know? For example, last week, somebody in my chat asked someone else out in the Twitch chat. They were desperate. They tried some crazy things. Don't do that. Don't make it weird. Don't go asking for dates in Twitch chat. I mean, maybe that works. I don't know. But that was Vinchester's desperate move. Vinch kind of running away this way. That'll be tracked by Hera. And Hera's just booming. Vinchester is on 2 TCs now. So there's that. I think he was placing this TC when he... Ooh, actually, here's a wild prediction. He probably tried to place the TC here. The tree was blocking the TC foundation. He then had to relocate the TC foundation. And then when he looked back, his Cav archers were dead. Because he definitely was adjusting something there. Because he didn't react immediately. But... oh, castle for Vinch. Okay. Well, Hera's siege isn't here yet. Castle should probably go up. And rats and archers can be very strong. But can rats and archers compete with the eco that Hera has right now? Looks like it's going to be really difficult. Sorry to hear you got rejected last stream, T90. I was kidding. It wasn't last week. It was like a month or 2 ago, but... One of the stupidest things, as Hera's just going to siege push this TC now. Well, maybe we should talk about the game instead of real life. But anyways. I think Hera's... He would have to have a pretty monstrous throw to lose this one now. The key for him is going to be locking down these 2 golds. So I think additional TCs or even a castle there to protect those golds, and then he's fine. Because that's the only way he loses now. There is a lot of gold forward. Oh, wow. Nice quick walling there from Hera. He knows he's got the lead, and he's going to go for the little trap here to trap these Cav archers in. And he'll sacrifice a couple villagers to do it, but he'll be happy with that just to bring the skirms over. And Vinchester's building a castle, but this castle might not go up. Eagles are on the way. Eagles surrounding the villagers. And Vinchester, 90%, 94%, and Hera kills everything. Just another reason to be happy with that game if you're Hera. But I think the game's won anyways. If this castle goes up, the TC's still going down, and Hera had a massive lead. Honestly, chat, I don't really know what you do there. I think the best map for Hera is Arabia. Mayans seem incredibly strong if you play them that way. I can't think of a single thing I can suggest to Vinchester beyond maybe keeping the scout alive and maybe opening a little bit differently. But it was kind of just a perfect response from Hera, and we've got ourselves a series. 1-1. Hera ties it up on Arabia. And so we'll see what Vinchester chooses to do next. More of every resource except stone there from Hera. Again, I think Vinch played well. I just don't know how to beat that. Game number 3. Very interested to see where the starting dock locations are here. Because that is something that is basically determined by the direction the players choose in this moment to move with their scout, right? A lot of maps, you have a little bit more time to cook, or it's a little bit more clear on where you're going to dock. Like 4 Lakes, you're going to dock in your corner. But not here. So, Vinch, he's Georgians. He starts with the mule cart. He's already on the way to the wood. He's already on the way to the shoreline. Hera, Lithuanians, they can get their dock down earlier than most civs because they can go to wood a little bit earlier. So he's doing that. And they're both coming to the same side. Now, I think Hera might have been thinking about trying to deny that, and he was hoping the Vil would be there already. And now Vinchester's thinking about potentially denying a dock, and Hera's villager's here! And this would be so bad for Hera to lose this Vil. Losing your dock Vil is game-changing. Potentially game-ending. If Hera doesn't get a quick wall down, he's in big trouble. And I don't think he can do it against Vinch. Wow. So what this does, you're down a Vil now, but then you're behind in fish, so you're down like 3 or 4 eco. Brutal. And I think Hera got greedy. Like, you could say unlucky for Hera, and sure, that is true. But everyone protects their dock Vil. Hera did not because he wanted to kill that villager. He looked super early, and then he was heading over here to kill this if there was a villager there. And so he pays the price. And now, Vinchester, he'll know all these things. And Vinchester will be up 2 eco. So I think Hera... I think it's a tough one. It's a really good move to try and kill the opponent's villager. If you kill the opponent's villager, the risk is worth it. But the risk, of course, is that you don't protect your own. Maps seem pretty reasonable. Maps are pretty much the same. But if I'm Vinch, I would be very tempted to open... Well, you could kind of open with anything, but I would want to open land at this point. You should know that Hera isn't over here. I'll have to thoroughly check, but it would feel natural for Hera to just switch sides so he doesn't lose a Vil again. And I think Man-at-Arm opening could work, but why not just Scouts? Georgian, your Scouts regenerate, and it's one of the toughest things to deal with in the game right now, so I think Vinchester might just choose to go with Scouts. We're pushing in his final Deer. He's on the way to Feudal Age, but look at the difference in the res collected right now. Crazy difference. That is partly due to Georgians, but a lot due to the fact that Hera lost the Vil and was delayed with Fish. Vinchester sending a couple Vils to gold. Now, Hera, has he confirmed that Doc is there? He hasn't. So I guess he still has to think about that. Vinchester also hasn't really done any thorough scouting here. So if he were to assume that Hera is here right now and try and make fire galleys, that'd be the incorrect play. So he doesn't see anything. He's going to check. And I wonder if this means he will send a villager to this pond right now. If he doesn't see it, being on gold is kind of a waste, right? And now Hera sees that. And Hera's bringing a dock. That's such crazy timing for Hera. Right? Vinchester checked for the starting dock. He was already here, but he wasn't looking for dock number 2. And now Vinch is like, oh, okay. He's behind. He's docked over here. I'm going to have free area to fish. And he's adding a 5th fishing ship. Scouting is so key on this map. And this is going to be a great way for Hera to come back. Very fortunate. Because Vinch was literally looking for it. But Vinch, in my opinion, should be looking at the proper time. He wasn't looking for a sneak dock. He was clearly looking for this. It's all right. I think Vinch will find it. Vinch just needs to see this gold. If Vinch sees the gold, he should know there's no reason for Hera to have 4 on gold with no barracks. But for now, he hasn't scouted it. He's looking. He's looking. He's thinking. He's wondering. He sees the gold, he'll check. If Vinch doesn't check, I'll give 100 subs. 10. Vinch, there's no barracks, bro. Vinch! There's no barracks! What? Vinch! Oh, he already made a fire galley. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Get wrecked, chat. Okay, there we go. It's fine. He knew. He knew already. He was making the fires. He had a feel. It's a bit weird. Maybe he had checked prior when I looked away. But he finds it. We'll keep his fish alive for now, and he's just going to wall up. The fire galley will be out from Hera. But Hera can potentially disrupt the opponent's fish while his fish are completely fine now. So that's a very good situation for Hera. I think the thing that's difficult, though, is that he doesn't really have a way to ever harass Vinchester on land. And Vinch could, in theory, still harass him. And Hera's really not going to give up on this area as he goes for dock number 2. Technically, he didn't check T90. He checked with a fire galley at the very least. Which is enough for me. Imagine having her job. The fire galley's weak. Oh, Vinchester loses his fire, and Hera really holding on nicely here. The scout will slowly regen for Vinch, so he's going to back away from that engagement just to be safe. But for now, Vinchester hasn't lost any fishing ships. It's really tough for me to think that he's going to be able to keep this area, though. Because he can't fish forward. Hera can just destroy that. Hera still no barracks. Hera still no archer range. And Hera's scout has more HP, but Vinchester's is slowly healing. He's going to get that back home. Surprised Hera didn't continue to chase to take that fight, honestly. Because the regen's really slow now. I don't know why. Like, they made the regen so slow. Like, they really wanted to keep it. It's so slow, it doesn't really matter in feudal age that much, but it isn't as impressive as it was. A nice demo there from Hera. Hera's fire galley is saved. Vinch's fire galley is saved. The villager from Hera is not saved. The demo now from both is kind of, well, crazy. But Hera didn't kill the fish. He killed one. A weak fishing ship is still valuable. Now Hera's fire is going to go down. Nice defense from Vinch. I think, like, you invest a little bit more into defending this, but then you probably have to shift focus if you're Vinchester. He clicks up. He clicks wheelbarrow. What? He didn't have his buildings. He's going to click wheelbarrow. Dude, wheelbarrow takes forever. Well, Hera doesn't have his buildings either. It's fine. It's fine. Hera also doesn't have his buildings to click up. That's funny. It's a mirror matchup, guys. They both made the same mistake. Yeah, they both could have been Castle Age way faster. But in the end, I think I prefer Vinchester's position. Because it's a way better feel. Oh, especially if he kills this scout. It's a way better situation. The fact that he will have scouting on the map. And he's walled. And he's safe. And Hera couldn't even get his scout back home or forward to see exactly what Vinch is going to do. Vinch should just go light cav and boom. Add a couple more scouts. I'm noticing some tiny little issues here for Vinchester. Like, he's getting housed a bunch. Is this not a hole in a wall? That seems like a hole, but maybe... Oh, nope, there's a tree there. I'm stupid. Yeah, now Vinchester sneaking over here as well is quite nice. A one fire galley could kill Hera's fishing ships and do some damage. Light cav against Lithuanian pikes? Yeah, absolutely. You can use the light cav to snipe monks. You can get vision, and you still outrun pikes. And Hera can't push with only pikemen. So it just puts Hera on the defensive, I think. Have a couple scouts around. But Hera's going to go cav archers here. And that's good in the offensive sense, which has kind of been the struggle for him this game. I think he's doing it because he's expecting cav archers from Vinch. Hera reacts. He sees that. Vinchester, he should be able to see this and notice it's double range. That can only mean one thing. And Hera wants to go for a trap, and he doesn't get it. And now his villager's exposed. Classic. But I think the Vill will be fine. Look at these villagers headed over to build the palisades from the outside. Just like kind of the remnants of the failed trap there. And now Fire Galley from Vinch can come in to kill Hera's fish if he's not careful. Stable now from Vinch. So he's going to try knights. But I'm not seeing a lot on food. He doesn't have a single farm. Scouts are going to go... The scouts snipe that villager. Nice snipe there. I don't know if double stable knights is actually super realistic with Vinchester's economy. He'll drop a market to balance his economy, so he's feeling that too. And Hera can drop town centers with Lithuanians, and you get extra food. And cav archers don't cost food. I kind of like Hera's build right now. Hera also keeping track of this scout. But Vinchester being annoying and running around. Vinchester built a church in the middle. And he pops out with the monk. Remember, you can garrison inside of the fortified churches. And now Vinchester drops a TC there. That's interesting. So he gets that relic. And he shows that he's going to go knights. Hera will probably react with a monastery. He already had one. And Hera has lost all of his fish now. And Vinch can add a fishing ship or two here. That will really help the eco. But, again, is the regeneration really that good at this stage? My feeling is the best thing you can do against Georgians in Castle Age is cav archers. Regardless, well, not regardless of matchup. You don't want to try and go Mayan cav archers or something, but... Lithuanians have all right cav archers in the late game. Don't have to be good in the late game, though, to be justifiable here, you need mobility. And you need something that can hit and run the knights very nicely. So I don't mind CA for that reason. And like I said, with the ecos that they have, it feels like Cav Archers, Hera, careful. It feels like Cav Archers really suits the eco. Hera gets one conversion. He has another monk. He'll never lose that monk because he'll quick wall it. Never mind. He loses the monk. But I still think Hera won't mind this if he can kill these knights. One of the knights gets away. This knight's going to get away. Well, not too bad for Vinchester in the end. Had a lot of confidence that Hera would get a quick wall there to save that, but... You know, this is becoming an interesting game where Hera's still building up the CA, but he's not really overly committing to it. It's still eco. Lots of farms for him. Vinchester hoping to get these relics away from Hera, because Hera could switch into knights later on. And that monk will go down. Hera tries to kill this monk. And oh my goodness, dude, his Cav Archers missed a bunch of times. The monk survives. A nice engagement for Vinchester, guys. I mean, everybody in my chat, except for 2 people, was saying Hera 4-1, Hera 4-2, Hera wins. And kind of expected when Hera has done so much winning. But Vinchester's is actually bringing his very best here. He hasn't doubted himself. I'm not seeing weird strategies. He's not playing too crazy. He's playing comfortable. He's playing confident. It would be amazing to get 7 games. I agree. Vinchester 3 TCs. Hera's still only on 2. Kind of crazy he's only on 2. You don't need this many farms with Lithuanians. You drop that next TC, you get food. Hera's now shifting to stone, too. It feels like this 2 TC play is all intentional so he can get more army. Here he comes again with the Cav Archers. And Vinch can just move the villagers away if he needs to. And Vinch built a church to protect the stone, but also to increase the work rate of the area, because that's Georgians. And his knights dove in and backed away because he saw 1 monk in there from Hera. I think it's a trickier spot to play in if you're Hera. Especially if the knights get +2 armor, which we're getting to eventually. There was a question at one point on if we would see that, but it's pretty clear now. With the economy that Vinchester has, +2 should be imminent. Building churches in every area because it increases the work rate. Super nice move. And Hera comes to the middle. We'll see a couple knights. There are scorpions there. Vinchester pulling back the wheat knight every single time. Both players playing incredible. 90 seconds of TC idle time. Hera just passed Vinchester in that. But guys, Hera's going big army play, castle drop in the middle. I think he's looking at this berry area, which we call the Barrier. I think he thinks that's a castle spot. But if Vinch builds 1 house in there, there's no way a castle can go down on the hill. That's kind of wild. You wouldn't delay the 3rd TC if you're not going big army here in Hera's position. Yeah, this is intentional. And by the way, he does not see this relic, so he will not look out for that. Vinchester also doesn't see it, so that's kind of interesting. He will see this one. He could eventually find this one and have 4 relics. Vinch also building up for a castle. And the stone count's really close, and Vinch has all of his vills here. So, I mean, we don't have +2 armor for Vinch. So, with this much army for Hera, I think Hera would win any fight. But Vinch can back away. They both want a castle there. I'm not kidding. Hera will aim to dive for the scorpions. There's monks behind. The knights aren't in front for Vinch. The scorpions are there. There will be monks for Hera as well. A lot of conversions happen for Vinch. Hera might be sending vills in now. If the armor's in, the knights tank. Armor's not in yet for Vinchester. But he's still able to pull away. Also, ballistics isn't in for Hera, which is super weird. And there's going to be Hera's castle. But Vinch is about to build his own. Vinch, do not build it on the front. Avoid the barrier, dude. Ah! Ah! I don't know about that. You might want to cancel that, and you might... Does he have a market? He does have a market. He needs to build his own right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Castle v Castle. Buy the stone, Vinchester. Drop your own castle, Vinchester. Get your army here, Vinchester. It's panic time. Okay, he's going to back up. Well, his relics are in there. And he will be an imp. So with imp, he can treb that down. But Hera's going all in. Big army production. And Hera can make enough army here to flood the map. If he gets these relics, that will be an additional 2 tack on his knights. He can make Latus from the castle. Maybe we'll see what Hera's game plan is, though. Hera will feel like once he sees this castle that he needs to go imp as well, which means he won't make the army. And if he doesn't make the army, Vinchester will definitely be in a position to treb this down. 30 villager lead for Vinchester. That's no joke. And the knights from Hera come in. Vinchester should react. Little late. Loses a Vil. Snagging ballistics now. Just massing his knights. Also making some Manaspa. And he will get +2 armor. That is Vinch's stone income. So he's not taking any stone right now because of that raid. And Hera is. Hera's committing to CA, so I don't really know if he can snipe Trebs long term now. I thought that was his play. I thought he was going to stay on Cav. But, yeah, I just don't see it. I don't think Hera can lose many fights. These golds being forward is a really bad thing for Hera long term here. Vinch's TC will probably be shot down. But Vinch just plopped all these villagers on berries, which is more than fine. He didn't lose his relics. Hera still no ballistics for the Cav archers. And tries to snipe that monk. Does snipe the monk. Well played. And now we see another castle from Vinch. Vinch has time for armor. Vinch has time for cavalier. Vinch has time for trebs. Hera's dropping another castle. I think he might bail on that, but can you? You see, he's thinking about it. And wow, he's thinking he wants it even closer. Well, at least there it's on a hill. If you place it below... I know it looks like he's still at the bottom of a hill, but at least there you don't receive as much damage from the trebs. Vinch is attacking the market, and there's a hole. And he finds it. I was like, what is going on? He gets in. Hera's getting raided. The upgrades are still on the way for Vinchester. So he needs another 30 seconds before he can take fights. But dude, Hera's has an awful, awful, awful problem here. His villagers are getting sliced and diced. He still doesn't have ballistics, so he's going to miss so many of these shots. And meanwhile, the trebs are already out from Vinchester onto the castles. Hera's dead. I know. Some of you looked at the name and said, oh, wait a second. He's still got a chance. No, he's amazing, but he's human, and he is completely dead. He's down to 53 eco. He will snipe a treb. Maybe 2. Okay. He snipes those trebs. But I think his castles will fall. And Vinchester, as long as he can make more army, which he should be able to with a 60 villager lead, should be able to win this game now. Again, Hera never really able to have much control this game. Vinchester's super calm with the boom. Super relaxed. Just like game number 1. And Vinchester's repairing away. And Hera calls the GG. And Vinchester came to play today, guys. This is the Vinchester that we've hyped up when he's beaten many other players. But it's tough to play your best when you are against the best. And Vinchester's doing that right now. This is... the level here is extremely high. Both players have a ton of respect for the other, and they are on top of their game. Now, Hera's going to be frustrated because of the start. He got super greedy, trying to move out, snipe that villager. That set him back. I felt he responded pretty well. I just feel like Vinchester taking the middle made it so confusing for Hera. Hera didn't know what to do. The second he saw that monastery in TC there, you could tell the shifting the thinking shifted. Sorry. The thinking shifted that he needed to play super aggressive without economy. And I also think the fact he didn't have this relic made him feel uncomfortable. So he didn't have relics. He didn't have map control. And he didn't have water. It was just, it was just an awkward, frustrating game for Hera. So good stuff from Vinchester. Again, like, Vinch can beat Hera, dude. He's shown us twice now. It's not a fluke. Really good eco balance there. Nice wood, nice food, nice gold. So, bit of a wait, right? And obviously, it's all speculation. That's all I can do. But every time Hera has fallen behind, he normally takes some time for himself. Now, I was wondering how he was going to approach this, because we've seen a lot of mills in the middle. And Mongols may be the best civilization to do that. And Hera's going to bring the vills to the middle. So kind of the opposite of what I said. Vinchester's doing what I thought Hera might do. He's just going to push in these zebra. He doesn't want a mill in the middle. He doesn't want a vill fight. But this is a massive game here. This is so important because I know it's Hera, but winning 3 straight against Vinchester in this shape would be extremely difficult. This is Hera's #1 civilization. Imagine the mental blow to lose this game. Imagine the mental victory to win this game if you're Vinchester against the Mongols. Now, I think there's a world here that Vinch could try something crazy. He played this matchup against ACCM in the previous round. It was on a different map, but ACCM went for Fast Castle Lancers. I don't think Hera's going to try that here. That's not really his play style. But maybe Vinchester got to think a little bit more about what he could have done differently against the Mongols. Even though he won that game, that was a crazy, crazy game where he easily could have lost. And if Hera's not stopping him from pushing in the Zebra and the Ostrich, is a Fast Castle too crazy? I think it is. I think it is. None of these guys are going to do it, but he might go Man-at-Arms. Maybe he goes Towers. The way the matchup works with Mongols is once the hunt is gone, they've got a 2 to 3 minute window where usually they're ahead. And then Mongols normally don't get back on top until way later in the game. But they've got so many good bonuses. But their eco bonuses relies on the hunt, which just so happens to be everywhere on this map. T90, would Franks be good on this map because of the berries? No, I don't think so. I think like there's other civilizations you would want to prioritize. Because all the hunts in the middle, you really want a civ that's really good at attacking for the middle. And the Romans can be good there because of the armor on the Man-at-Arms. So we've seen a lot of Man-at-Arms because Man-at-Arms are kind of in your face and force you out of the middle. Interesting that Hera doesn't go for Loom here. That's pretty risky when he has no scouting and militia could be coming forward. But he will queue it after feudal. No villagers on gold yet, pushing in what's left of the deer. So he's pushing in hunt as he still has the 4 villagers on hunt. This feels like a scout build from Hera. And Vinchester going to gold. It's obviously going to be Man-at-Arms. And imagine if he wasn't able to push in these Ostrich. You know, Hera's benefited with more resources himself. But imagine if he had even just a villager there just attacking. Or, I don't know. It's kind of tough. Does Vinch see this? Dude, they're right next to each other and they have no clue. This is so wild. Normally everyone's fighting each other with vills. Hera's going Man-at-Arms as well, but he's super late to gold. Like, really late to gold. Like, this can't be Man-at-Arms now, actually. Kind of shocking, in all honesty. Hera just stuck on 2 militia. He's going to queue his 3rd. Vinchester already has 3. And Vinchester will be able to get the Man-at-Arm upgrade. I guess Hera won't be that far behind, but he is certainly going to have to back up a little bit. And now the 3rd militia, so it will be Man-at-Arms for both. Romans have the armor. Eventually you have to think about that, but... Well, I was going to say it's not going to come anytime soon. And I think it actually will. Because Vinchester already has the blacksmith coming up. Hera will not get... He doesn't get double armor. And he doesn't have the blacksmith yet. He's going for the range. Vinchester got a nice hit there with the scout. Vinchester might need some more food underneath that TC in a second. He goes for the 4th Man-at-Arm. Hera still has hunt around. But Vinchester is killing off what hunt he can And the armor upgrade's in. So this should be a much better fight for Vinch, I think. I mean, in the end, it's this fairly even trade. But 3 men-at-arms remaining and a scout for Vinchester, and Hera has no access to that hunt now. Vinchester immediately goes for the archery range. Man-at-arm will be there. Vinchester could, if he's paying attention, fight that off. And I think Hera knows that, and now the man-at-arms move over this way. Hera will drop a tower. I really like that tower. Also, to the people calling GG in my chat right now, come on. These players are warriors. GG. Come on. How long do your games last? Hera's tower was perfect there. He doesn't need to worry about this all that much now. He could still move forward with some archers. He killed a villager there. And that target's still available in the middle. Vinchester probably just needs to shift his focus fully to the middle now, but Hera's got his archers out because he was faster to the range. And these archers can eventually wear down these men-at-arms. Now, I've said this a lot. I think that it's not actually a bad thing to get to the game state where you just farm on this map, especially with Romans. I think if you have 7, 8 vills in the middle, you're just leaving yourself exposed. Farm away at this point if you're Vinchester, and you're okay. He's got the berries back here. He's building another blacksmith. He's going... Let me get this straight. He has a civ that gives you double blacksmith upgrades, and he's now building a double blacksmith. Vinchester, that's not how it works. But it's because he's nervous, and it's because he's super uber focused, and he's not used to building the blacksmith at the start of feudal, and so it just kind of felt natural. Well, hey, if he goes to Imp, he's going to get those upgrades so fast, Hera is going to be in trouble. So Hera better finish this game before Imp. It's kind of funny that he did that. But that's painful. That could be a second archery range. But it's not the end of the world. Wow, look at Vinchester's idle TC time. What? 2 minutes? 2 minutes of idle TC? Hera won't know that his opponent has had 2 minutes of idle town center time. But my goodness, is that a really high count. Hera's getting attacked by the archers here. He also still has the man-at-arms here. He's going to lose a villager there. I don't think he expected Vinchester to really dive deep. But Vinchester did and found a reward for it. If he was even paying attention. They're microing the archers. The man-at-arms go into town again. But Hera kills more archers than Vinchester does. I think Hera's in a nice position here. Bobo says no horse collar for Hera, though. Yeah, well, first off, horse collar is not realistic with these builds. It's not feasible. So that's not a big deal here. That's not an issue at all. Farms are king, regardless. The other thing is, Vinch doesn't have horse collar. Vinch doesn't have double bid axe. Things have gone horribly wrong for Vinchester just trying to get numbers out. So I think this is a very good situation for Hera to tie this up. And Hera will clear up this army, and Vinchester's just kind of in disaster mode. And now Hera, if he wants to, could actually come take Hunt again. But I don't really think he needs to do that, guys. Vinchester focused solely on the opening. And the opening nuked his own economy. And now, Hera's done a really nice job. Again, I really like the tower. And the fast range ended up being such a big difference maker. Even the second range as well. You can tell that Hera's been producing out of his ranges ever since he built them. And the man-at-arms only ended up killing 1 vill. It was nothing more than that. 5% greater eco is a really big deal at this level. But I don't think that Roman economy bonus is going to save Vinchester when he's down more than that percentage in eco. And I think Hera is doing the right thing not to take the hunt. I don't know what happened here exactly with Vinch to have 2.5 minutes of idle TC. Like, a minute feels pretty reasonable when you go for fast armor and when you go for that many man-at-arms and you're focused on the fights. But the 2.5 minutes, I think it was maybe the pre-planning that went wrong, so maybe the farms weren't there. At a certain point, he must have just had 0 on food. And then the second blacksmith, that's 150 wood. I mean, that's 3 farms, right? So that could have been a second range instead. It's crazy how you just waste 150 wood and it just feels so evident. But Hera, he's going to tie this up most likely, guys. Also, Daniela raid, salutes in chat. Welcome, Daniela viewers. Welcome, Daniela. Thank you. We're looking at Hera probably about to tie this up right now. Vinch would need a really nice engagement. He would need to find this army and kill this army. And I think he's super paranoid right now that Hera's going to be coming in and attacking him. So he's just kind of waiting at home with skirms. But anytime you're going to reach Castle Age and there's not immediate value from your army, you probably should fall back. Especially if you know you're ahead. Falling back is never bad. And Hera even adding the stable too. We've seen a lot of fight from Vinch today, but I think we just see the GG when Hera's in Castle Age. He would need a second tower on the wood line. Then he could be somewhat okay. These vills are over here. Hera might find them randomly. But yeah, this advantage is crazy. A minute away from Castle Age for Hera, and Vinch still has not clicked up. His eco just simply fell apart. But yeah, on the whole horse collar thing, because I think like people are obsessed with horse collar, it is a very nice upgrade. But on super tight, fast builds, it's actually horrible for your eco at this level. So the thing you're going to see a lot, I'm just explaining this so you know more people don't, just so there's a little bit more knowledge, you know. Now you want to get horse collar once farms are starting to reseed. Off these types of builds, but getting double bit and horse collar and man-at-arms and archers and super fast fletching, something's going to give. And if you try and go for the eco bonuses, you're not going to have the military and you could fall off hard. So that's why you typically don't see that. Vinch just got double bit axe. And yeah, he's going to fight on. I think the thing that he could do to survive here would be the tower on the wood line. But oh man, he doesn't even have a market for that. Like he really needed a market instead of the blacksmith. Noted, never get horse collar. The other thing is that horse collar is actually a trap if you have auto farm on and you are going archers, because you want villagers on wood and gold. You don't need that much food, but that's a deeper conversation for another day. I've got a video planned on that at some point. Vinchester 20 seconds away from Castle Age, still keeping himself in this. The houses go up to prevent Hera from diving deeper into the eco. The vills will have to pull away. He pulls them away. He's getting his upgrades. Hera could still run on through. It feels like Hera knows he's ahead, but he still doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks and throw army. But he's going to dive close. And he's killing off some of the archers. And he's through now. And he could sit right underneath that tower if he wants to, or just continue to run around. Vinchester's eco is so idle right now. And I think Hera will be maybe a little frustrated that he didn't do more damage there. But when you see 10 vills from your opponent running, you're like, oh, I'm fine. This isn't an issue for me. Finally, the villagers will be killed. All of Hera's villagers are working, of course. And Vinchester, he's just got such an uphill battle to climb. He doesn't even have a big enough group of crossbows to fight the knights. But the knights are tanky on their own for Hera. And then he's got skirms. And the GG's called. Guys, every game up to this point, even if a player lost, the players have kind of been solid and firing on all cylinders, okay? That, for Vinchester, is a painful one, and I worry it could be the start of something. Now, this is just typical caster conversation, right? It's just one game. I should forget about it and move on. But the second blacksmith is a lack of mental clarity in a big moment. And the 2.5 seconds of TC idle time, I mean, all of that stuff makes you think, can that happen again? Can there be a mental lapse again? Hera played well, played great. But honestly, Vinchester just kind of killed himself in a lot of ways because he didn't have the food. So keep that in mind. 2-2 now. Hera wants to keep the crazy streak of S-tier victories going. And he's tied it up. But, and here's the crazy thing. 4 games in, Hera has played with all 4 of his top picks. Now, this isn't to say his other civs aren't strong. But if you were to have told Vinchester prior to this that it would be 2-2 after 4 games, but he would still have his top picks and Hera wouldn't, he would have been very happy with that. He was not going to be disappointed losing with Romans against the Mongols on that map. That's expected. What Vinch is now expected to do is to use Koreans and Bengalis somewhere and have them be insanely strong. Wow, Vinchester goes for Koreans here. So, guys, this kind of tells us, using process of elimination, when we see Pacific Islands, that Vinchester will probably play Shu or Wei. I guess he could go Bengalis there. Yeah, Bengalis are actually really good there, too. Koreans for Vinch. Now, the way this map works, you've kind of got 2 separate arenas, right? And inside your starting arena, there's no wood. But there is the usual food, and then there's 2 areas of gold. But then out here, you've got another area which has the wood, and it also has the stone. So you'll usually see the lumber camp, so the players can chop through to that stone. And both civilizations are insanely strong when they take stone. I'm kind of curious how they chop the trees. So in Hera's case, like, he's not chopping with multiple villagers on this tree yet. He might actually, but obviously if he chops this tree instead of this tree, well, actually it makes no difference then, because either way he's going to be through, I think. Right? No. Well, whatever. I don't think he needs to stone really fast anyways, but that's how the map works. So we see a lot of fast castles. We have seen some towers. Some people will come over here and try and tower rush this area. I think the weird thing is everyone likes to talk about the stone, but no one remembers that this is actually where most of the wood is. So I think the strongest thing about taking control of this area is actually denying the wood, because there is wood out here, but there is not a lot. In fact, there is 109k wood on this map. Also, Deer is trolling Hera hard right now. And where's the Deer going? Okay. So yeah, it's a really interesting map. Also, I thought Hera could have maybe played Mongols here because there's a lot of hunts in the middle. No complaints over how he used and played the Mongols on the previous map, obviously, so. I just don't like Koreans here. Unless you're going to play into towers, I really don't see a big reason why Koreans. I think if it's a boom game, it's better for Bohemians. So I'd expect some shenanigans from Vinchester in some way. Obviously, tons of gold on the map. And then I guess there's not that much stone compared to most maps, because there's just this. Because there's no stone anywhere else. Really cool map, though. Ozone says, what? How can you not like Koreans here? How can you question me not liking Koreans without explaining why you like Koreans? That is so much better for us. Yeah, I think booming is kind of awkward. Bohemians can get the relics a little bit easier. They can get fervor. Bohemians have the cheaper blacksmith market, so they can get the castle age a little bit faster. Bohemian late game is really tough to break. Korean late game is too, to be honest. So I don't know. But I think you've got to use the towers. Hera played with Koreans earlier, and it was almost like he forgot they could go for towers. I think if you go for a lot of towers, it could be really strong. And it doesn't have to be feudal age tower rush. I think if you just take some weird castle age control here, and suddenly it's kind of tricky. Yeah, Yupseong could be really strong. Hera's up to feudal age super quick. And it feels like his plan is to go castle age. Very surprised he got loom. Did anyone see if he got housed, maybe? Because why get loom? Loom could indicate maybe he wants a siege monk push. You could move in, siege, monastery, pressure the main base. Hera goes for the market. I don't know. I don't know if that uptime necessarily makes what Hera's going to do any better than if he added a few more villagers here. Yeah, I wasn't saying Koreans are bad. I just think I prefer Bohemians. Maybe I was a little bit too harsh on the Koreans. Man, I really wish that, like, all of chat was around for the Koreans that built towers, like, 33% faster. And when towers were cheap and towers didn't receive all the nerfs. Guys, there was a Fast Imp 1TC Arabia Koreans game. Viper had 27 vills against 50 vills with army. And he won the game. I remember that like it was yesterday. Yeah, it was a Fast Imp with 27 vills towers. Now, it wasn't that clear. It was very messy. There was a lot of different things happening. But the towers just ranged everything. Korean towers at a certain stage were so crazy broken. Link, please. I'm sure someone can find it. I remember it was Song Song versus Viper. Pre-DE, probably 2017, 2016. It was wild. All right, Hera sells some of his stone to get a proper Castle Age time, and he will be up faster. So the build was kind of weird here, but he gets the same result. I think Bohemians should be able to get Castle Age faster than Koreans, which is why I like them. But Vinch is going for a barracks, actually. So I wonder if Vinch will add scouts. No one's on stone. Hera could build the TC over here if he wants to. You probably have to, even if you don't take the stone, right? Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that video would be called. Maybe someone in chat can find it. Honestly, I think like Fast Imp Towers. It might have been like the Viper Tower Rush. I don't know. I had a lot of videos. I mean, I've uploaded like 3,000 videos, but that game was ridiculous. I mean, on Arena, a viable strategy is add scouts. And what? He's going to go Korean Cav Archers. Korean Cav Archers. Now, okay, hear me out, all right? Hear me out. Korean Cav Archers are dirt cheap. And they're mobile. And it's also a surprise. So it's not a necessarily long-term because there's reasons why Korean Cav Archers kind of struggle. But maybe it could work. I don't think it works well against the siege push. I don't think it works well against monks. Not as good as scouts, but you might not have the food eco for that. Okay, some people are linking a video in chat. I don't know if that's the one, but you can maybe add that to your watch later. If my memory serves me correctly, he was versus Song Song, and Song Song was Hans. Now, if Hera's just adding one monk, then a couple Cav Archers can get the snipe. Hera's going 2 monks. Double monastery. This is where on paper you go light Cav and Hera's dead. But having the information that Hera's going monks in the first place is really nice. I don't know if Vinch would have gone for the second range if he didn't know that. And Vinch drops the second TC. Hera's dropping the second TC. Hera wants this relic, which he should get. And I think Vinch needs to wait till he has 6 Cav Archers. You cannot let Hera know that you have this. Patience is key. If you pop out with 2, you're not going to kill the monk anyways. But players don't want to wait with army. They're investing into army and they want benefit. Hera's looking. He's probably wondering, like, what's he going to do? Like, I'd be paranoid about this area versus Koreans. I'd be thinking a tower siege push could happen. Nothing. It's awfully quiet out here. Yeah, double monastery. I don't think Vinch knew it was double monastery. He knew it was 1, but now he knows it's 2. And Hera... Did he take damage on that scout? Or no, the attack signal was probably Vinchester taking damage from the scout. Scout took damage before. I thought the scout somehow lost HP to the gate. And there's the CA. And the CA are missing the monk. And now Hera will know. And that is very fortunate for Hera that monk was able to get out of there. Still fortunate. He's still running away. And okay, so now you're thinking, like, what did the Cav Archers actually accomplish here? What happens now? Not a whole lot. If Hera gets to 6 monks with Sanctity here, he can take on those Cav Archers. Especially if he's standing on the hill, because the CA will do less damage. Cav Archers come here to raid the wood line. Hera can pull the villagers away. Vinch might bring a villager to try and siege workshop this down right now. I actually would love a guard tower right next to this. I wouldn't even mind a guard tower over on the wood line right now. You just need to use your stone in some way. But Hera's monks are not cheap. And it's really tough for him to hop out of this monastery right now. Because you got to hop out of different directions and hope for conversions. Now, you can bait your opponent to go to the left now and then hop out. Which Vinch knows. I think Vinch sensed what was going to happen there. Vinch might have also been looking here. Oh, God, Vinchester got baited. And he's not able to camp on the monastery anymore. Yeah, the scout got converted over here. And also, Hera converted a Cav Archer. So Hera got a lot of conversions. And now, Vinchester wondering if Cav Archer was the right play. The scouts are a really helpful tool right now. Cav Archers are saved. Hera's Monk Micro has got to be on point. That is his only army. And he really well, he has all the upgrades he needs. He has Sanctity already. And again, the Cav Archers are firing uphill. They'll do less damage versus the monks, but that's a lot of Cav Archers. Look how many monks are targeted, though. By the way, I think we're building up towards a castle from Hera in this position. It just makes sense. If you win a fight, you can castle on the front. Maybe a defensive castle is good. But imagine if Hera's able to castle this. It'd be a crazy strong spot for a castle. Cav Archers come in. Boink. And the monk does not die. Wow. And that's the difference between having a hill or not. And then the monks just heal that monk back up. Oh, he's back. Boink. That one dies. And 2 conversions. But guys, if someone steals your Mongol Cav Archer or your Magyar Cav Archer, you feel like you lost your car. You're like, oh no, that's so nice. That's such a good Cav Archer. Stealing a Korean Cav Archer, it's like stealing an old dirty shoe from your closet. You're like, whatever. I don't care about these long term at all. Hera doesn't have redemption. Hera doesn't have redemption. Hera doesn't have redemption. The monks! The rocket carts! There's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of Cav Archers have been convinced to switch sides here. And Hera still has more monks. And Hera ended up converting 6 Cav Archers. The key when disrupting a monk rush is that start of it. And Hera's been able to mass up enough monks. Vinchester can't push very easily now. Imagine if Vinch went light Cav against Double Monastery. But again, he didn't really have the food for it. See how he thought about even another archer range there? And there's the castle from Hera. Oh, man, Vinchester. He was up 2-1. This is horrible. He's trying towers to deny this. Your opponent has Cav Archers, my friend. Your opponent has siege. I don't know if this will work. If any civ can do it, Koreans could do it. It is 2 towers. He didn't know about the siege, obviously. The Cav Archers are coming from the other side. The monks for Hera are exposed. The siege hits the Cav Archers from Vinch. And that castle is going to go up. Super well played from Hera here. Great monk control. And it's just so tough, man. Like, Bohemians can make so many monks. Their eco's super smooth. And now this castle will beat down both of these towers. And it will also take the town center. And Vinch can't do anything. The most natural move for Vinch is to do the same thing to Hera right now. And drop a castle over here. I think if you go for a defensive castle, it might not even go up. I like how Hera converted a villain is building outposts in there. That's pretty sick. Yep, here comes Vinch. Okay, I think Hera should sense this. It's a pretty specific thing to sense. But he's saving that stone for something. And he'll see the Vills. Yeah, and he knows. He knows. And Vinch doesn't know there's a castle going up yet. I don't think Vinch's goes up. I mean, Hera's is already at 50%. Vinch's at 15%. Either way, you've got to go Imp. Imperial Age is the big thing here. But yeah, Vinch's castle won't go up. It's going to be Hera 3-2. There's no way that castle completes. Disaster for Vinchester. Oh my god. Everything went wrong that could have gone wrong. Yikes. Whew. I mean, well played from Hera. Well played from Hera. This is one of those things, right? You now look at Cav Archers and you just say, why? Like, why go Cav Archers? It doesn't make sense. It didn't do anything. They don't get bloodlines. And sure, it's cheap, but it's absolute crap. Someone called them Walmart Cav Archers. I don't know if that's true. But here's the thing. I think the big moment in this game was actually when Vinchester, like, both players knew what was going on. And Vinchester showed the Cav Archers early. He wasn't able to kill a monk, which was fortunate. But he wasn't able to collapse on these monasteries. These monasteries were always able to produce. And I want to go back to this. This is intentional from Hera. Hera doesn't have to be going in with this monk right now. Like, this monk is probably going to die if he does. So the logic behind Hera moving out is because he needs these 4 monks to essentially be unlocked out of the monastery. And so there was that happening. Well, also there was this happening. So there was a lot of things happening. Monks just don't die fast enough to the CA. So Vinch is looking here. He kills but gets converted. There he gets converted. And then here, he chases this monk. And then Hera pops out immediately. And now he's got his monasteries again. Right? And I just think, like, hindsight being 2020 and all, what if Vinchester literally never left? Sits there, never moves, and drops a tower? Can Hera stop that? I don't think so. Hera would have nothing, right? Hera could hop out, and Hera could try and convert, and then he could hope he doesn't lose all of his monks, but the second the Cav Archers moved away, he could actually use the monk range again, and then the monasteries were just kind of invincible. So, just to see Koreans picked first, and or so early, and then see them played like that is going to hurt for me, for Vinchester. And just like that, Hera back on top. Hera up 3-2. So Pacific Islands, Hera has clawed his way back. It's 3-2 now. Vinchester needs to win 2 straight. Otherwise, it's Hera moving into the semifinal. We've got Vikings from Hera, which is pretty much telegraphed in his draft. This is a surprise to no one. But the Vikings can be played a very specific way. Once again, chat, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support. Sorry I had to talk about the game instead of say thanks, but you know the drill. So a bunch of chatters just said longboats, and that's true. Or galleys, and that's also true. But I think what I've seen a lot of people make the mistake of doing is it's too predictable. They try and go galleys early, and that's not actually good for your economy or for any of the island control. And they can die very early in Feudal Age against fires. Because Vinchester might be thinking forward dock to prevent the galleys, right? Yeah. I don't know what game's in my brain right now. There's actually 2 of them. But I seem to recall the players with Vikings that did really well actually playing archers on one of these islands and just trying to forget about water for as long as possible early on. And then once you're in castle, then you go longboats. So it's really not about Feudal Age Navy from what I've seen. That's what I would expect Hera to try. But I don't know. Wow, his scout moved forward, found a water buffalo, and is stealing it in the transport right now, which is kind of funny. Hera brought his scout immediately forward. He also wants to deny the dock, which Vinch knew could happen. Vinchester has the villager palisades there. Sorry, brain fart. But the reason I say that is because land control is always important here. Everyone's always bringing villagers to build a lumber camp or to build a mining camp. And then, so there's a guarantee that the archers are going to do something. And you can usually get your archers onto the opponent's starting island too in the event that they tower here. And that's super distracting for the other player. So that's kind of how I would foresee Hera to play. Having said that, though, is that Hera's dock, maybe he placed it here because he didn't really have better options and he just had to fish. But this is a dock you place if you might want to build a second dock and go galleys. So we'll see. Hera scouting around here. Vinchester's done the same. I haven't focused on Vinchester's scout. But he's actually checked all the shoreline, which is kind of interesting. And he knows the dock is there. So again, if you think your opponent's going to go galleys, you might put a villager in a transport, and you might build your second dock on his face. And I think that would be a pretty decent approach. So I guess if I were to sum up how I think Vikings are insane on this map, is you just don't rush the water. You don't rush the water. You play the other aspects, and Castle Age is where the water becomes really, really valuable. This isn't like islands or other maps where water is all there is. And there's not enough fish where when someone wins the water, they just immediately are way ahead. It's a really good balanced map in terms of, well, the amount of water, I think. I think the category is a water map, but it's just above hybrid. Now, with all this stuff said, I remember a game that Vinchester played with the Bengalis. And he actually went fast castle. It was fast castle into a castle drop. And now when I see him making more and more villagers, I think he might be doing that. Now, that was a practice game against Dragonstar. I meant to cast it for YouTube. What also happened in that game is Dragonstar transported 25 samurai and destroyed Vinchester's starting TC. Yeah. It was pretty crazy. But I wasn't expecting Vinch to try this. Nothing Hera sees tells him that that's 100% what this is either. Hera wants to know. Hera's attacking. Loom is already in. Vinchester's Vills will be fine, and Vinch is on the way up. And Hera's going double dock galleys. Interesting. Well, Vinch is already expecting to lose water. So Vinch doesn't really care that much. You see how little fish there are? This set really sucks. Like, that deep fish he couldn't find. The key for Vinch here is he's going to have to scout to see if Hera's going land army, which he now sees Hera is. And he's going to need a tower the first thing he's in feudal. And then Vinch will have to decide on what he goes for. He could go for a second dock. He could add fires. But losing that 150 food on the Buffalo kind of hurt. Not going to lie. Now Hera comes in with a tower. I mean, technically, Vinch could just Vill rush this back. Right? Because, like, Hera doesn't have army yet. And you don't want to lose your wood line. There goes Hera with some walls. Some attempted walls anyways. And Vinchester's just going to fight this. But Hera... he got that palisade down. That's a pretty big deal because now... I mean, this keeps these villagers here a lot longer for Vinchester. Otherwise, the tower could actually be attacked. That's a really nice tower. Okay, counter tower from Vinch. It's a risky strat, guys. It's a really risky strat. There should be an archer range coming for Hera behind this. Hera will be very happy with how much disruption he's causing. And he's moving this way to find the fish. And Vinch doesn't even have the res to click up. This is... ugh. I hate the fact that I feel somewhat right about this. But after the Romans collapse... I was just worried that Vinchester wouldn't be quite as sharp. The double blacksmith was just an indicator that things got a little crazy for him. Wonder if Hera will be patient and just sit on the dock until a fire comes out. Well, he's sitting there, and he's going to find the fish. So, yep, he'll find the fish. His fish are still working. His tower will be shot down, but whatever. Vinchester has some idols. Hera won't be too upset. And Hera's transport might need to be active with Vills, but I think pretty soon, the ideal play is actually to send archers to the starting island from Vinch. Because Vinch has a tower here, and Vinch will be safe. I've watched way too many Pacific Islands games, almost an embarrassing amount, and I think that should be meta now. This isn't new anymore. Hera will take the hunt. Hera's eco. Not looking too crazy in terms of farms. Probably needs a few more of those. But Vinch even canceled his Fire Galley. The nice thing for Vinch is you get 2 additional vills when you make it to castle. So fast castle's pretty good in that regard. But I think those archers are going to make the move. Just really smart thinking, right? Like, this is what makes the map so dynamic for me. There's so many different areas you can move. And one tower doesn't lock down the land aggression. That transport chip changes so much. Yeah, but if Hera wins, I called it, chat. Dude, I've seen this so many freaking times. Hera's wife comes in. Oh, opponent's playing like a beast. All the compliments. And then Hera just like 3 wins in a row, closes out the series. Honestly. I just had to say it. I feel bad. Because I think she probably meant the compliments. But I don't know if I could trust the words anymore. I literally called it out, chat. Hera doesn't have archers over here. And Vinchester will make it to Castle H. Hera's archers are headed this way. And they could still technically get to the mill, but they can't do much more than that. And first Fire Galley on the way from Vinch. Now you're gonna see why I don't like this play from Vinch. Because Hera is going to be able to make longboats. And with longboats, he's going to be in a crazy position. You have to somehow stop the Vikings from taking the longboats. Hera he's killing the rhino. Smart. Vinch is going to need food. Why not do that? There's the monastery for Vinch. He'll go over, get this relic. This is exactly the type of thing that I thought, like, a lot of people do when they're the underdogs. They try something super extreme. Just waiting for it to build up towards something here for Vinchester. He will have double monastery. Okay, well, that gets interesting. Monks with Bengalis are super OP. We saw in the previous game what Hera was able to do with monks. Bengalis are even better against land army. Vinch also kept his scout alive. Okay, I like that a lot. And Hera doesn't have stone for a second TC. Hera doesn't have a stable for light cav. There's the stable now. Let's see if he goes for some longboats. The thing I'll say about that is it doesn't directly benefit him right now. Oh god, but the transport is here. Transport brought the archers over. That's so crazy. You can't do anything about it if you don't have water control. And so Vinch scrambles up a tower. It looks like he did spot that. Or sense it. And Hera loses his scout, but so does Vinchester. And these archers are now crossbowmen, and they can still move around in a lot of different directions. Yeah, Vinch wins or loses this game based on how successful this little push goes. Because this is going to be really tough. You can't tower everywhere. And retaking water... I mean, he's not even making a single fire galley here. It's not doable in his mind. And what will get really fun is if Hera tries to go TC over here and then Vinch sees him, because Vinch already has units. And oh man, sorry to look away there. 1, 2, 3 villagers down, I think. 4 villagers down for Vinch. Hera was underneath the tower too, it looks like. And now the transport for Vinch will need to sail away. Vinch doesn't care about that transport. Vinch cares about the siege push. Does Vinch know there's a stable? He does not. Oh, boy. Why do I feel like 5 light cav kill this entire push? The answer is because it does. Because it does. Just monks and 1 mangonel. There's crossbows as well. Now, these are Bengali monks. They have sanctity, so they're a bit stronger. But light cav upgrades on the way. There goes Hera with some vills, by the way, for that next TC. Now, Vinch, if he sees the stable, that gives him an idea that he might need to back off here or wait for a couple more monks. And if he gets to 10 monks, it's different. So honestly, if Hera just had light cav a little bit faster, I think he would be in there attacking. But now, more monks are in support, and Vinch knows. Excuse me. Crossbows from Hera, where are they? Still moving around. Vinch has just made a monastery to make some monks to convert these. Not necessarily the best approach. Hera loses a galley to a monk, though. And also loses a galley to the galley, so it's not bad. T90, if you convert a building with units garrisoned, what happens? If you convert a building with units garrisoned, the units hop out of the building. But if you convert a transport ship with enemy units, the enemy units stay inside of your transport ship, and they're still enemy units. And I've said this before, but if you ever have the rare occurrence of converting an opponent's transport ship, you do not delete the transport. Because if you delete the transport, the units die. You don't want death. You want prison. Put it in the corner. That's population space they can never get back. They can never delete that unit because it's in your transport. So one time, like 11 years ago, I had 60 units from my opponent held hostage in the corner. They were playing with 140 pop. It was sick. Actually, that was like 15 years ago, and I was like 700 elo, but whatever. It still happened. I mean, Vinch's population's pretty decent. What do these players know about this over here? Oh, Hera will know. Hera knows the TC now. Vinch doesn't have any clue that's happening. Hera should castle drop that, in my opinion. And, yep. He sees it. Vinch sees the castle, but Vinch can't do anything about that. But he cancels his TC, at least. So, honestly, if Hera had an outpost, he probably could have castled this TC. This could be worse for Vinch. Hera's Lycav have gotten a little bit tired of sitting back. But you're not worried about the siege. You're worried about the monks. Oh, well, he's underneath the siege. He'll take the siege. The siege will be gone. Look, he just passes by the siege. He wants the monks. The Lycav go through. The siege is gone. Conversions happen. Bengali monks are insane, dude. Actually, so strong. But all the monks are going to die. All the monks are... Well... The monks lived a longer life than I thought. But most of the monks die. And there's another castle coming up now from Hera. Crossbows behind the wood line. Vinchester's eco is looking so terribly bad. And honestly, if Hera just has to leave this area, I think he's going to be completely fine with that. His eco is so smooth compared to Vinchester's. But that was well played from Vinch with the conversions there. Any other civ and Hera clears that and the game's probably over. I mean, the problem for Vinch is he doesn't have his TCs over here, right? So he has all these vills over here that he now can't really protect. And we still haven't seen the longboats. So if this game goes later and this becomes a water battle, which it normally does... As Hera actually saves these villagers. Let me go back real quick. Yeah, he comes in with the transport, saves those villagers. You just kind of feel like the longboats are going to dominate. And Hera's got this set up now. 2 TCs. Has this TC. All of his eco will be working. And he might need to delete a couple of these buildings. He'll hop out. He'll try and stop this, but archer range gets converted. I think Vinchester lost a little bit of faith, and the last 2 games, he went for some wacky stuff. It's tough to say much more than that. It's just super risky. I think Vikings are really solid here, but I've seen Bengalis played in more standard ways. Vinchester. Oh, wait a second. That's where his vills are. Hera thinks all the vills are in the TC. There's only 4. He brought a Mangano! Bro, he brought a Mangano! That's so sick, actually, that he brought Siege. And now Hera's gotta get all hands on deck. What in the world, Vinch? No one brings a Mangano there. They normally just bring the vills. How did he get away? Also, if the Mangano survives, Hera's TC is gonna get pushed. Hold the phone. This is actually a game. What? Vinch also has a TC over here. And he converted these buildings, so Hera can't do anything. And Hera's kind of has massive problems out of nowhere because he wasn't able to stop that transport ship. What in the world? That's crazy. I was looking around. I thought all the vills were here. Then they weren't. And that transport gives Vinchester chances somehow. Also, Hera, while he can sort out his gold problems, he's doing that. He really needs Imp to take care of this castle. And Imp is going to have to be researched in one of the other TCs. At least this gives Vinchester time. I still think Vinchester's eco is atrocious compared to Hera's. But Vinchester didn't get castle dropped. Vinchester isn't getting TC dropped. And Vinchester has time to add some eco over here and get some balance. Imagine if Hera clicks Imp in this TC. He would never, right? He does need to click Imp. And obviously he's not going to do it in that TC because he's going to potentially lose that TC. Hera made a forward dock. When he's Imperial Age, he can get Trebs. But the Trebs would have to be transported back to his starting island to take this castle down. If he can get Chemistry, he can make Cannon Galleons to take this castle down. And that's not a bad game plan because I think Navy is insanely strong here. Usually it's like land fights in Castle Age and then Navy and Imp. So as long as Hera doesn't take massive losses, I think he'll be somewhat satisfied. And he will go into the transport now. The change the devs made where you can just put 20 units in a transport ship without any text have saved both of them here. And Hera is... Well, where's he going now? Oh, you can actually take wood out here. Yeah, you can take wood out here. That's really smart. Because there's no Navy from Vinch. Hera with the classic Viking raid, transporting crossbows and berserks. The most realistic thing we've actually seen so far from Vikings this game. And yeah, Hera's just going to take the wood. Beautifully done. That's smart. More docks for Hera. TC will go down. But he can build a castle, and he'll build a castle there. It's not a great castle. I mean, you do have to move forward with your Trebs, but it does still protect the vills. Makes life a little easier for you. Vinch still so far behind economically. But he's untouched here for now. Vinch cannot allow any villagers to come drop a castle or TC over here. And then maybe he's got time. Also, shout out to these vills. Maybe they can do something. Hera and Imp. And normally you'd want Trebs. But I don't really know. Okay, he's going to make skirms here. That's interesting. Well, Vinch is diving for damage after taking down the TC. And like, Vinch, you can't steal those farms, dude. Back away, my friend. He's trying to be as aggressive as possible. But he needs the Imperial Age. And he needs it fast. And then he probably needs some docks. You can't say that Vinchester hasn't made Hera fight this game. I mean, it looked so good for Hera ever since he cleared up the monks, ever since he got the castles down on this side. But Vinchester brought himself back into the game with this castle. That was crazy. I think a little surprising Hera's making skirms here, but he just needs enough skirms to protect the Treb. And then the Navy starts to come out. And if Hera can mass those longboats take down buildings really fast. So you can see the redock and pretty much deny that. The worrisome thing for Hera is just his docks are in a bunch of different positions. So it's not like he's able to gather them up into like the perfect mass right now. But Vinch can't do anything against a couple skirms in that trip. He's going to have to run again. And I guess at least he has a safe area to go to now. Also, Hera deletes those berserks. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, Vinch just has no reason to go over here, but obviously if he made some demos, that would have been really good. And now the redock attempt from Vinchester's been spotted. And Hera just shift clicks up a bunch of longboats. I mean, these aren't fully upgraded. Look how fast the dock goes down. It's lost 400 HP already. Vinch, escape, 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 escape. It's only 3 units, but every unit matters. He escapes. But instead of dying by drowning, they'll die by longboat. And Hera gets his island back. Not bad. Docks are melting. Vinchester probably melting as well because he was ahead. But best of sevens, long, drawn out sets. It's difficult. There's so many different aspects you need to focus on. And it just felt like Hera was able to stay consistent. I'm not even going to say that he upped his level, honestly. I think he just stayed consistent, and I think Vinchester wasn't really able to. I don't know what that was. I think some mental fatigue. Maybe it's physical and mental, but the double blacksmith was the moment where it all started to fall apart. Hera did a great job this game. He didn't play water that heavily early. He focused land, eco, and then in this stage of the game, Vikings just kill everything, dude. And docks going down is pretty costly. It's 150 wood a dock. Vinch will try because he has to. We'll drop more docks down here. And we'll see if Hera gets Bosvigar. That actually adds more damage to the longboats. And he just got elite longboat. And he's now getting chemistry. So the longboats that you thought were good before get like 2 or 3 steps stronger, dude. Vinch is he's getting shipwright at least. Like, he's committing to the long term. But this is where a transport from Hera, transport from Hera where he actually comes over to land now is the next step that Vinchester doesn't have an answer to. And pretty soon cannon galleons could come over as well. I don't see a way back. Even if Vinch had like 30 more vills, I don't see an easy way back. It's just such a tough position here against the Vikings. Villagers attacking the Treb. They'll actually take the Treb, so there's some positives. Hera doesn't have any military buildings built up here anymore, so it's kind of tough for him to get all of his units here. Oh, that's the galleon tech! No! Bro! Of all the docks, that's so unfortunate. Oh, God. Poor Vinch is already probably going to lose, but now he thinks he has Galleon on the way somewhere, and he doesn't. I'm sure he'll realize eventually. Hera snagging Careening, and we'll grab a couple other upgrades as the cannon Galleons are on the way. And, okay, he realized, so Galleon's on the way. Remember, Hera's got all these resources untouched. And Vinchester, like, kind of does for now, but eventually he can't take resources because he'll just lose it all if it's on the shoreline. Hera... Does he hate unique techs? Come on, bro. We want to see fully upgraded longboats. You've got the res, my friend. He'll do it eventually, I imagine. Maybe he forgets. It hasn't always been the case where you have to get that tech for them to be fully upgraded. And, okay, here we go. Poor Vinch's ships keep getting stuck behind the docks and the rock here. And Hera maybe ventured a little too far to retreat. He does have Navy from the other side, though, and those are elite cannon galleons taking down the docks. And I think certainly at this point, nice demo. But I'm pretty sure Vinchester knows he is completely dead. Skirmishers are raiding his eco, which will be unprotected once the TCs are down. And he's sinking every last moment of energy and resource into galleons. But Hera can always produce more with the way his setup is, excuse me. And Hera will move on to the semis. But I think, like, today showed, it's a reminder, like, Hera has the ability to stomp people short. Hera could lose games, but it's over that best of 7, man. You have to be able to bring the same level every time, and Vinchester felt like a completely different player at times in, like, games 5, 6, or what, 4, 5, and 6. Hera, just the same old Hera, wins 4-2, convincing, and I really like, well, convincing is maybe a little harsh to Vinchester, but a 4-2 win is a 4-2 win. And I think there will be positives from Hera in that he lost and still won the series, so he can look back and say, what went wrong, what can I tweak, and what can I do differently in the semis. A really good series. Vinchester losing to the current world #1 is something that hopefully doesn't keep him up too many nights. But yeah, Vinchester, his road ends here. Hera moves on to the semifinals. Really fun stuff. I think if this is the first game, Vinchester never plays that way. Or this is like the map that we see when Vinchester's up 2-1. But I think he felt as though it was slipping away from him, and he needed to try something different. I don't know, but I haven't seen many games where Bengalis didn't play like that, so maybe Vinchester did practice some things, and he thinks that's really, really good, and there were just some tiny adjustments he needed to make. But to me, felt like a little bit of lack of confidence. And Hera, all the confidence, and he played well.